r/Nosleep. Posted by u/JTB685. I met an old lady who collected broken mirrors. If it hadn't been for the sagging kennel with a white 18 painted on its side in the yard, I would have never found the damn place. Half the windows had plywood sheets nailed over them and the lawn was hairy with weeds. My clunker of a van looked right at home parked outside. It was 4:36, which meant I'd be done for the weekend if nobody was home. I grabbed my tool bag and climbed out just in time to see an upstairs curtain twitch. Damn. As I approached the front door, an elderly lady watched me from behind the sidelight. I gave her a friendly wave. Several locks turned, then the door creaked open as far as the chair would allow. Through the narrow gap, she said, "Yes? May I help you? Ms. Wexler, I presume?" I held up my ID badge. "I'm here to fix your phone line." She screwed up her face, then made an expression. "Oh, yes, come in, come in." She unchained the door and pulled it open. Ms. Wexler was wearing a blue dressing gown, tied at the waist. Beneath the plunging neckline, I glimpsed sores and immediately looked away. I hesitated in the doorway. "Ms. Wexler, is there a dog inside?" She gave me a vacant stare until I pointed at the kennel. "Oh, that old thing. No, Sparky died a long time ago. My sister killed him. Come in, come in." The casualness of her tone caused me to do a double take before stepping into the hall. Alongside a narrow stairway, broken mirrors lined the wall from floor to ceiling. Great, another hoarder. It was my third one that month. "You'll have to forgive the mess, my sister's an awful packrat," Ms. Wexler said. "It's been quite a while since we've had visitors. What was your name, dearie?" "Dan." "Oh, that's..." Ms. Wexler turned towards the stairs, then screamed. I was just about to offer him some. I hadn't heard anything. I made a mental note to get my hearing checked. She looked back at me. "Let me get you a glass of lemonade, dearie. It's so humid out, you must be parched." She guided me into the kitchen and opened one of the cabinets. The glasses inside were covered in cobwebs. My forearm hairs stirred. That's all right, I'm actually not thirsty," I said. "If you could just point me towards the busted socket, I'll get to work." "Are you sure?" "Positive." "Okay, then let's..." "What?" Joints cracked as Ms. Wexler whipped her neck towards the hall. "No, he said he wasn't thirsty." She sounded agitated. There definitely hadn't been another voice, but experience had taught me it was best to keep my mouth shut in those situations. Ms. Wexler shouted, "Yes, we'll be up in a minute. Hold your horses." She put the glass away. Honestly, that woman can be so impatient. "The socket's upstairs, follow me." At the bottom of the steps, she stopped and looked back. "Oh, and, when we get up there, it's probably best if you just ignore my sister." Ms. Wexler lowered her voice and tapped her deeply wrinkled forehead. "She's a bit touched in the mind." "No problem," I said, eventually. Ms. Wexler led me up the steps, past several missing floorboards and a stack of empty mirror frames, and into a dim room. A stained armchair was pressed up against the far wall. Its armrests were torn to shreds, almost as if a wild animal had been clawing at them. Ms. Wexler approached the empty seat. All right, we're here now. You can quit hollering." She turned towards me. "Dan, this is my sister Agatha." "Agatha, Dan." I stared at her. Nice to meet you." My gaze shifted between Ms. Wexler and the unoccupied chair. "Ma'am." The old bat had lost her marbles. How come I always got stuck with the crazy ones? Oh well, at least I'd have another funny story to tell when I got back to the office. In the corner, a black sheet covered something tall and rectangular. Beside it was a small desk with an old-fashioned rotary phone resting on top. I dropped my tool bag alongside the wall socket and got to work. After a few minutes, Ms. Wexler said, "Agatha, shame on you. He's young enough to be our grandson." I shuddered, saying nothing. "Oh, not this again," Ms. Wexler sighed. I glanced over my shoulder, her face was buried in her hands. Yes, I know it's been a while since we've had a handsome gentleman visitor, but that's no excuse for..." Agatha stopped at this instant. "What's Dan going to think if you keep doing that?" I stayed focused on the socket. Ms. Wexler could have all the imaginary arguments she wanted, so long as she did it at the other side of the room. "Oh, I am not being a bad host, fine." Ms. Wexler walked over. "Dan, Agatha wants to know if you'd like some leftover brisket?" I shook my head. "There. He said he's fine, see?" Ms. Wexler groaned. then leaned down, using my shoulder for support. My stomach twisted. Was she putting the moves on me? She said, "Agatha's not going to let this go. I'll fetch you some brisket, you can try a little piece, and if you don't like it, just say you're not hungry." She looked around, then pressed her lips against my ear. "And if Agatha tries any funny business while I'm gone, just politely tell her you're spoken for. She doesn't take rejection well." A chill ran along my spine. Once Ms. Wexler left, I unscrewed the panel and tested the cables at breakneck speed, hoping to get the job finished before she got back. I heard movement. Bumps and bangs, as if something was moving around the room. I glanced back. Nothing. A few moments later, I felt a heaviness in the air. I tried ignoring it, but it became intolerable, like somebody was breathing down my neck. Imaginary spiders scurried across my back. Ms. Wexler carried a plate of spoiled meat surrounded by buzzing flies into the room. It smelled foul. "Dan, I got the, Agatha, what on earth are you doing?" She mimed, pulling a person away from me. "Shame on you. Sit back down and leave poor Dan alone." Lord of mercy, I have never been so embarrassed in all my life. The bumps crossed the room again as Ms. Wexler slapped the air repeatedly. "Don't give me that nonsense, I sincerely doubt Dan was leading you on. The repairs were almost done." "Oh Agatha, don't be like that, it's not you, it's just, Dan has a nice girlfriend his own age. Don't you, Dan?" I said, not looking back. "See? Oh, you are impossible, it doesn't matter whether his girlfriend would find out or not, because he loves her." Now sweating and anxious to leave, I plugged the phone back in and got a dialed tone. "Hallelujah. All done." Ms. Wexler picked up the receiver. "You're a saint. Thank you so much." "No problem," I said, packing my tools away. "Here," she held a piece of meat crawling with maggots close to my lips. "Try this." "I'll be fine, honestly. I had a big lunch," I said, fighting the urge to retch. "Well, at least," Ms. Wexler clenched her teeth, then smashed the plate on the floor. I threw up my hands defensively. Ms. Wexler stormed towards the chair. "I did not scare him off, he said he's not hungry." Her gaze shifted back to me. "Will you please tell my sister I haven't been a bad hostess?" She made a go-on gesture. She's been a very gracious host," I said. "See?" I zipped up my bag. "No Agatha, Dan is leaving now, because the phone is working, now just calm down." "No, not at all. Dan is flattered. He thinks you're wonderful, but he's in a serious relationship. That's all it is. Isn't that right, Dan?" Yeah. "Oh, Agatha, don't say that. No, you're not ugly. Dan told me he thought you were beautiful. Isn't that right, Dan?" "Yeah. I cleared my throat, a real looker. If I were single." "See? Dry those tears." Ms. Wexler crossed the room and caressed my bicep. I tensed. "I am so sorry about all that. If you won't have any brisket, at least let me give you a tip." I deserved one for not bolting out the door the second she started babbling to herself. "Well, if you insist." Ms. Wexler disappeared into the other room right as my phone buzzed. It was the office asking whether the job was finished yet. I told them I was just packing up. "Oh, and you're not going to believe what happened." I had a quick look around. Some ugly old hag just hit on me. Crazy bitch has gotta be at least 100. I'll tell you all about it when. More sounds, even louder than the ones before, crossed the room. Just like earlier, I felt a chill of dread. The fine hairs all over my body stood on end. "I'll call you back." Silence. Ms. Wexler had creeped me out, that's all. It was time to go. I reached for my bag but felt something tug against my belt. The black sheet covering the rectangle shape had gotten snagged on one of the notches. When I yanked it free, the sheet fell to the ground, revealing a freestanding mirror. As I reached for my tool bag, I glimpsed movement in the mirror and jolted upright. Nothing but my own reflection. I felt a sudden, sickening warmth against the back of my neck. Slowly, I leaned to one side. Ms. Wexler was standing behind me, naked. The space between her legs was matted with filthy, gray hair. "Oh, Ms. Wexler, I'm so sorry." I spun around, averting my gaze. The room was empty. I whipped my head back, confused. Within the mirror, Ms. Wexler's eyes crawled all over me. I glanced over my shoulder. Nothing but an empty room. My gut tightened. The reflection scowled, exposing jagged, rotting teeth. Paralyzed by fear, I watched Ms. Wexler's reflection stagger towards mine. Saggy sacks wobbled on top of clearly defined ribs dappled with pus-filled sores. Whimpering, I turned to the side, keeping one eye on the mirror and one on the room. When Ms. Wexler's reflection stood nose to nose with mine, I tasted a rancid, clammy breath. She took a swipe at me with an arthritic claw, tearing a strip off my shirt. A trickle of blood ran down my torso. I backstepped into the wall. Now I couldn't see into the mirror, but the sense of presence was still there. It grew unbearable, as if a clammy body pressed itself against mine. I circled the outside of the room until I could see the reflections again. Agatha chased me with outstretched arms, like an infant begging to be picked up. Blue veins forked like rivers atop her bony thighs. I tried to scream but my throat was dry with terror. Just then, Ms. Wexler walked in. "Dan, I hope." "Agatha, what are you doing?" Heart pounding, I shoved Ms. Wexler aside and burst out of the room. My foot sunk into the space beneath a missing floorboard, sending me tumbling down the stairs. Pain flared in my right ankle as I landed in the downstairs hall. Groaning, I looked back around. There was movement in the broken mirrors mounted across the wall. Agatha shifted within the fractured shards like the world's most terrifying kaleidoscope as she charged toward me. I staggered to my feet, still dazed. "Ms. Wexler, the real Ms. Wexler," shouted. I don't care what he said, that's not excuse for this sort of behavior. Without pausing to catch my breath, I limped out of the house, across the driveway, and dragged my swollen ankle inside the van. My hands shook so violently it took 3 attempts to get the keys into the ignition. A line of weeds flattened in the garden, advancing in my direction. I turned the ignition once, twice. The crappy van only threatened to start. The house's front gate swung open by itself. In the side mirror, Agatha staggered alongside the driver's side door, her expression twisted with rage. I tried the ignition again. The van sputtered. 4 long scratch marks appeared in the side window, accompanied by a jarring screech. Then the door swung open, and Agatha's clammy breath filled my ear. I closed my eyes, said a silent prayer, and turned the keys one last time. The engine roared to life. I slammed the van into gear and sped away, tires screeching, as the driver's side door swung back and forth wildly. I pulled it shut, sighed with relief, and watched Agatha shrink in the rearview mirror.